Hi, this is Health Chapter for 6th grade, and this is lesson 130. And there is a quiz that you should take, and so you can pause the video right now and take that quiz if your parents have that available for you, or you can wait until after the video to take that. I'm going to wait just a second in case you want to just pause this. All right, we're going to get into our lesson, and last time we were talking about winter sports and how to avoid frostbite and hypothermia. And those things can be very dangerous if they're not treated. Hypothermia refers to a lower than normal body temperature. So that's where your entire body gets below normal, and therm has to do with heat, so hypo means below or under, and so hypothermia is below your normal body temperature, below the heat that your body should be producing. And that can be dangerous because if your body gets too cold, you can die. And frostbite is where your extremities, your fingers, your toes can be so cold that the tissue in your fingers can actually freeze, and that can be dangerous because you could lose some of your fingers or some of your toes, even your ears, and we don't want that. So we just want to be careful that you don't stay out too long in the winter, that you have enough things covering you, like a hat, scarf, that sort of thing. Okay, one of the things that they talked about just at the end of that section on page 19 and 20 with camping is that I'll ask the discussed question, why is it dangerous to use gasoline to start a fire? Okay, do you guys remember that? Well, gasoline is highly flammable, and so it could explode, and it could cause you to get a burn or even worse. And so you don't want to use gasoline to start a fire. And really, you need to have adult supervision at this point to be dealing with starting fires, but your parents should explain that to you. But just so you know that you really should get someone that is much older to watch and make sure that everything is being handled correctly, because it can be very dangerous, and you don't want to start a forest fire, camping, or any other fire. Okay, and so this lesson, pages 20 to 22 are the pages for this, and we're looking at woodland wisdom, and there are lots of poisonous things that you could encounter if you go into the woods, and some of the things are poisonous plants. And so up here we have some of our words that are familiar to you guys, how I have that. So poison ivy and poison oak, they're very poisonous. I believe I've told this story before, and for those of you who haven't heard that story, I will tell it again. When I was young, we were on a road trip, and as is pretty normal for my family, we broke down on the side of the road. The car was overheating, and it needed some water so that we can continue to the next town and get antifreeze. But my dad went down an embankment on the side of the road, and us kids were kind of sick of being in the car, so we got down and we were climbing through the woody area, and my sister did not know what she came upon, but she actually got into some poison oak, and she was itchy for days, and it was pretty bad. Mom had to get some calamine lotion, and so she had the pink lotion all over her arms and a little bit of her legs because it was pretty poisonous. And you don't want to get that on you, because once it gets on one part of you and you start scratching, then it gets on your hand, and then you scratch somewhere else because you might get an itch somewhere else, and then it's on your face, and then it's on your leg because you scratched your leg, and so then it spreads a lot. And then if you touch someone else, then it spreads to them too. So poison ivy and poison oak are very, very contagious. And some people are actually allergic to them. And so they actually will swell up, and they would need to go get medical attention right away. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're safe in the woods. One of the things you want to look for with poison ivy and poison oak is leaves of 3. Okay, so leaves of 3, let it be. The groupings of 3 leaves together is an indicator that it's poison ivy or poison oak. And if you look at your book on page 20, you see these pictures. So this is these two are what the poison ivy looks like in the spring and summer, and in the fall they'll turn red or reddish and green colors. And so you want to make sure that you can recognize those and stay away from them. Okay, and also if you're going out into the woods, you want to watch out for ticks. Okay, Morgan would remember that we went to Pennsylvania last summer, and the area that we were in Pennsylvania at a camp had a lot of ticks in the woods. And so they warned us, and we had to make sure that we were spraying the tick repellent on us, and that we were made sure that we had socks and pants, and made sure that we weren't just running through the woods where there were lots of trees and bushes, because you could get ticks on you. And ticks like to hide out, and they live on human and animal blood. And so but they also carry diseases. There's the Rocky Mountain spotted fever, there is Colorado tick fever, Lyme disease, that's probably the most common. And you probably wouldn't even remember being bit by the ticks because they are so small. If you look at the period on one of your pages, that some ticks are not any bigger than that period. And that's really, really tiny. Remember, we looked at things in a microscope. We'd have to look at a tick in a microscope to see it that small. And so you never want to go barefoot, and you always want and never want to wear open sandals in the woods. The best thing is to have, if you're going to go hiking, is to wear long sleeves, wear pants, make sure you have longer than ankle socks, so your mid-length and maybe a little bit longer. Tennis shoes are best, and if you have a hat or something to help protect your head. The next section is not really my favorite section, as you guys know. It is looking at some poisonous snakes, and so we do want to be aware of poisonous snakes, because we do live in an area where we could encounter some, and if you were to go traveling other places, you might as well. There are only 2 types of poisonous snakes in North America. There's the pit viper and the coral snakes, okay? And so the pit viper has several different types of it. So that you've got the rattlesnake, you've got the water moccasin, which is also called the copperhead, or the cottonmouth, I'm sorry, and then the copperhead snake, okay? And so those are the pit viper, the rattlesnake, and the copperhead, and the water moccasin, which is also the cottonmouth, I'm sorry, I lost the word there, okay? And then we've got the coral snake. And so the pit vipers have the oval shaped eyes. They also have those 2 oval shaped pits in their nostril, or like they look like their little nostrils. Those are their sensory. They can sense the heat, and they can sense movement from those. And so if you remember the video that we watched a little while ago that had the snake that was blindfolded and was hooked up to the sensor that made those I forget what that was called, but when they got heat close to it, then it would react to it, because it was feeling that. It was their sensors. And then if they got like movement of a hand or something else in front of it, then it would also react. But if there was that glass in between the heat and the snake, or between the movement and the snake, then it didn't react to that. And so those are your pit vipers. And so those are very, very dangerous. You do not want to mess with them. And then the coral snake, that one is often confused with the scarlet king snake, because the scarlet king snake has some of the same colors, red, black, and yellow. But you can remember this, that the coral snake has the red and the yellow touching, and the black king, or the scarlet king snake, has the red and the black touching. So you want to, so the rhyme that we remember for that is red on yellow, kill a fellow, red on black, venom lack. However, if you are somewhere and you see a snake and you're thinking, is it a coral snake? Is it a scarlet king snake? I don't remember, but it's coming close to you, just run away. You don't want to mess with a snake if you don't know what type it is. And it's best just to avoid it if you are uncertain, okay? So go ahead and answer that quick check at the bottom of 22. Don't forget to take the quiz if you haven't already. And your mom and dad have further instructions for there is a homework, or after this, do CCU 1, Section C, all of the questions, Section D, all of them, and Section E, numbers 1 through 4, and do those on notebook paper. I'll let you answer the quick check in the book if you're neat with true and false, and I will see you next time.